Yeah.
You want to talk about the last fight?
I do, bro. I do, because that was the one too, man. Now, what was your thoughts on it initially, man?
Huh?
I don't personally feel like it was controversy.
So here's what I was thinking. I talked to a couple people about it yesterday as I'm watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, I heard it was kind of boring, and if anything, Adesanya was winning pretty early, and then it didn't really feel like he did too much to really try to knock him out. He knew he had the thing won. And then I watched it today. Dude, I feel like it was actually kind of close.
Okay.
Like, Whittaker had some shots on him. Now, Adesanya, he did what you were talking about. He almost did, like, the Spider-Man stuff, Matrix
time, right?
stuff.
It's nuts, bro.
I mean, Whittaker's coming in hot with some of his moves and barely missing. I'm like, if he connects on these, holy crap. But Adesanya's just smooth with it. He's just like...
You sound exactly
it's like slow
me,
motion,
bro.
Matrix.
Now you see
the
why...
Spidey senses.
You see why I felt like how I felt when we was talking. I was like, bro, I don't know if that was luck or if he's just that nice. Now I'm kind of leaning towards, maybe he's just that nice, because this is 2 fights now, 10 rounds total. Or not 10 rounds total, because the first one went 2 rounds. But, 7 rounds total now, and he just... has never caught this guy,
Yeah. So I felt like it was even. Adesanya had him pretty good in the first. Whittaker had some takedowns, though. And he was like on his back. So he had more, I don't want to say they were wow moments, but moments where I guess the takedowns count for something. Or they were at least attempted. Some of them weren't pretty. Like they weren't complete takedowns.
So the big dilemma with that is this. Do you reward the takedown, or do you reward the guy?
It just looked like he was doing more activity, right?
Because to me, I looked at it in the reverse. I said, I like Whittaker taking him down, but he never did anything. He never hit him when he was on the ground. He never even held him on the ground. It was like, you're down, take a breath. Now he's right back up. And then even though Whittaker, you could say, was more active, Izzy outlanded him in terms of strikes.
Yeah.
Significant strikes and regular strikes. But then also, who was in the center of the octagon the whole time? It was Izzy. Izzy was the one having to cut him off, because Whittaker would do what? He would be trying to run side to side. And it's like, you see Izzy taking the angles to cut him off. But to me, I still like, who's controlling the center of the octagon, because the guy in the center is letting me know he's ready for fighting. Whereas the guy on the outside running around, he's not trying to fight like that right there. And I also thought that, man, even though the fight, it wasn't a wow fight for just like a casual person, right? But for me, I liked it in the sense of just watching how Izzy was just able to use his technique, his defense at times, even offense to be defense. Like, man, okay, Whittaker's about to start. He's about to start one of those bursts. You see Izzy touch him up a couple times. You see Izzy kick him a couple times. You're like, he just could effectively minimize or stop some of those bursts from even happening, or he does that to give him time to get out of space. And then even though Whittaker's throwing a lot and doing these kicks, it's like you said, he's not hitting anything. So are we going to, reward attempts, or are we going to reward the guy that's actually getting about the way? And that was kind of how I felt with that. But I just thought as a whole that I would have liked to have seen, even though Whittaker was being aggressive at times, I thought that he still was too calculated. I thought that he was still too
I'm with
reserved.
you, yeah, because there was a lot of times where they're just standing around the middle.
Yep. But part of that, I do think, because he was a little bit more aggressive the first fight and he got knocked out. And that was the part where you saw how Izzy knocked him down in the first round. I think when that happened, it kind of made him think like, all right, I got to be a little more calculated. And even though Izzy said his hand was fine, did you see where, my man, he kept doing this, holding his hand. I'm like, bro, is your hand hurt? Like, what's going on? And he would never throw it, but then he said he was fine. I wasn't a fan of that. I wanted to see him throw that more, because I thought his, in terms of that first round, you saw how Izzy was throwing them punches and tagging him up where he wanted to. It's like,
it wasn't really the same.
Yeah, he stopped punching after that.
It definitely wasn't. Yeah, it was a weird one for me. But even though I said I think it was closer than what I thought it was going to be going, I still think you give it to Adesanya, because you're right. I think he looked cleaner. Your best way, you put it the best way, more active.
Yeah.
Whittaker looked more active. But does that necessarily mean that he wins? Nah, I don't think that, because Adesanya made him miss a lot too.
Yeah, because I'm just not I always think of that. It always reminds me of one of the old, it was a Mayweather fight. I think he was fighting Marcus
But it's not
McDonald.
it never felt like Adesanya did anything that was that aggressive though too, outside of the first round.
But I would always think of, the reason I say I always think of with Mayweather, especially later in his career, they were like, oh, should this guy have won because he was more active? But you're like, how many times did he actually hit Mayweather? And you're like, he didn't hit him at all. Just because the guy throws a ton of punches, if he's not connecting, he's not connecting. He's just wasting energy. That's kind of just how I feel anytime we're talking about activity versus productivity versus actually like landing these shots. Yeah, if he was landing more, I think that's different. But yeah, with him not landing, man, I was cool on that. And Izzy, man, Izzy just showed that he could do some of everything. Whether you're talking, like I said, the kicks, whether you're talking showing that he could get up from takedowns, whether you're talking counterpunching, whether you're talking leading the dance, like he could kind of do pretty much anything that he wanted. And we saw a little bit of all that in this fight right here, man. Izzy is tough, dude. He's going to be a tough beat at 185, bro.
Yeah. Whenever you were talking about him being in control, I agree with you on that. He looked like he was completely in control. Yeah. It's just weird. Maybe it was the hand. It's just weird how like it goes from the first round.
Yeah, he just stopped punching
to the last like 3 or 4. It's just like it wasn't
jab
the same.
And a lot of kicks.
Yeah,
and
no, you're right.
That. And it's like you can point a guy to death, sure, but like I said, it just isn't the prettiest optically. But as a whole, I thought that Izzy had definitely had that taken care of.
So he's the guy. Yeah, going forward.
Well, he's been the guy at 85 for a while now. Like I said, his only loss was when he bumped up to 215.
What I mean is, like, you don't really think there's anyone next in competition?
The guy he's going to be fighting next, he wants to fight in June, actually. But he was the third fight on the main card. A guy named Jared Cannonier. He was fighting the guy Derek Brunson. The guy was like Blonde Brunson or whatever. He's the guy that's going to fight Izzy next. Both of those guys were fighting for that essentially number one contender spot. And I'm not going to lie, watching Cannonier, I'm like, is he good? Sure, but I don't think he touches Izzy. He almost got beat in that fight himself. Like he got hit early, dropped, was about to get choked out, saved by the bell, comes back next round, catches him with an elbow, and that fight changed. Part of it, I'm like, man, was the guy tired though? Because he looked like he had one of those adrenaline dumps where you're just so gassed, so hyped, you're trying to get this finish, you run out of time. He just came back looking really lethargic. And then that's how Cannonier was able to go ahead and win. I don't personally think either one of them dudes is beating Izzy. In fact, I know the one guy, the guy that Cannonier was fighting in that fight, he already got beat by Izzy. Izzy knocked him out, and I think it was the first round. So once again, I'm just like, Izzy ain't got no real competition at 185.
At his class, it's if he goes up, that's where the bigger storylines are.
But going up for him, the issue is the size advantage. He doesn't have that anymore because those guys, like Izzy is coming down from 200 plus pounds to fight these guys at 185, right? Whereas when he's fighting at 205, them dudes is coming from like 230, 240 coming down. Like, so that's the give and take with it. And that's why he struggled to get up from the takedowns.
He only did that one time against the dude he lost to.
That was it. But that was the first time we saw him struggle to get up. Because typically it looks like what it looked like versus Whittaker, where it's like he just pop it whenever he wants to.
Is he going to try to?
I don't know. Because Blachowicz got beat. Blachowicz got beat by Glover Teixeira, and Teixeira is going to be fighting. I forgot who he's fighting next. So I could see a case where maybe he tries to, pick the winner of that. I don't like it for him, though, because when you talk about Glover Teixeira, you talk about Jan Blachowicz, all these dudes are bigger, all these dudes are stronger, and they're going to be able to keep him on the ground. And if he's on the ground, I don't know if Izzy's game has evolved there just yet. Manscaped, the leaders in below the waistline grooming, because we know if you're going out there on these big days, these special occasions, trying to get a little action, and you're not up to par, it's JV. That's not varsity. It's not going to be working. You're going to get denied. You don't want that. But you know what'll get you the opposite of a rejection? What'll get you access? What'll get you that smile that you're looking for?
What's that?
The Ultra Premium Collection. We talked about it last time, right?
Yeah.
I started to go back in depth and bring all the props back out. You know what I mean? But it was like, no, we ain't gonna do that today. But this Ultra Premium Collection, the deodorant, the body wash, the 2-in-1 shampoo, conditioner. Can't forget about, that lip balm as well. With that, man, that'll always get you scoring the way you need to score. That'll always have your Valentine's Day feeling great and ultimately just make you, life a lot easier and better, baby, because everybody loves a Manscaped person. So with that being said, we don't talk about you unless we got action for you. And that action is in the way of a promo code. MOATS. That's it. Get you 20% off and your free shipping worldwide, baby. Just like that. So stop wasting time. Don't have your Deke looking crazy out here. Make sure you take care of Deke, all right? Manscaped, shout out.